Welcome to the NYREJ podcast. I'm your host, Rick Kaplan. My guest today is Rhonda Wong, and Rhonda is with Ohmyhome, which is a little different from what we normally talk about. It's real estate related, but it's mostly residential, and they're also on the New York Stock Exchange. So congratulations for that, Rhonda. And tell us a little bit about Rhonda and Ohmyhome.
Hi, Rick. Thank you so much for having me on your show. So I'm Rhonda Wong. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Ohmyhome. We're a property technology platform, and what we do is we help homeowners buy, sell, rent, and renovate their properties in Singapore, Malaysia, and very soon in the Philippines as well. So we listed on the Nasdaq earlier this year in March, and we're the first female-founded proptech company to be listed in the United States. So definitely very excited to be here, very excited to be on the show. Thank you so much, Rick. And a little bit more about Ohmyhome. How we have came about to do this platform is very much propelled by our own personal experience and growing up in moving homes and investing in properties, where we feel like the only way to bring the power of knowledge equity to everyone is through technology. So we want to make sure not just the wealthy, not just the savvy has information on property transactions, have the ability to do them well and seamlessly. We want to make sure that everyone in the market has access to that. And that's what Ohmyhome does. We use technology to ensure that information, agents, mortgage, legal, and renovation, all of this can be at your fingertips as long as you're in touch with Ohmyhome.
Well, that sounds pretty great. But, I have to ask you a question before we continue. How did you come up with the orange and white colors?
We were debating between blue and orange, blue or orange. So blue usually gives people a sense of stability, so a lot of banks use that color. But orange is a color of warmth, it's a color of family, it's a color of sunshine. So when we thought about our company and our vision, and very much a lot of the times the customers that were serving our families, we've served over 14,000 families now. So at that time we thought, orange is the color. So that's how we came to orange. And if you visit our office, it's completely orange at the front door to welcome you.
Yeah, no, I saw the picture of when you were going to the first go online on the New York Stock Exchange, and everything was orange in the background, and everyone was wearing orange, so it was very bright and kind of happy,
Yeah, very, very happy and bright. You're right. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was at the Times Square in Nasdaq.
Okay. So now the market that you're dealing with is in Singapore and Malaysia and Cambodia, I think.
No, Philippines. Soon will be Philippines.
Oh, in the Philippines. I'm sorry. So how is the real estate market in those areas?
Singapore is one of the most expensive cities in the entire world. So in terms of the land size of Singapore as a country, we're very small. In terms of population, it's also very small. But the real estate value in terms of per property price, per square footage price is one of the highest in the world. So it's comparable to New York. And usually you'll find Singapore in the top 5 ranks of the most expensive real estate in the world. So that's Singapore. In terms of transaction numbers, you'll be seeing about 40,000 properties transacted in 1 year in Singapore. Now in Malaysia, it's slightly different. So in Malaysia, it's more affordable than Singapore. Malaysia also has about 5 times population of Singapore, much larger country. It's very close. It's just it's basically a neighboring country. So in Malaysia, you'll be seeing about 200,000 transactions a year. Now, when you move over to the Philippines, which is made up of thousands of islands, extremely beautiful country with 118 million population. It'll be a huge transaction number of about 800,000 a year. So very different in terms of country sizes, but also very different in terms of affordability as well as property prices.
So tell me how your software, your platform works with your brokers. Because
So in our
well, just so everyone understands, you're handling the buyer, you're handling sellers, you're handling rental transactions as well.
That's right.
And now, do you also handle commercial properties or just
Not so
residential?
much, only on demand.
Okay. Okay. So tell us about how the broker works with your Ohmyhome.
So on our platform, usually when customers come in, the first thing that they do is they research. They want to know what's their property value. They want to know what's the past transactions, if it's a good time to sell or buy or rent. So first part of our business in terms of the knowledge equity is that we provide this information, this knowledge, this research all free of charge, including your property valuation, evaluation, instant evaluation. Now, thereafter, our customers will go into two options. They could either try to sell their homes by themselves on our platform. So this would be very similar in the States with FSBO, which is for sale by owners. So our platform allows you, Rick, to basically post your property for sale and meet buyers, and this entire process is free of charge. And then the other option, which is the more common option, is that customers get to choose to engage our agents. Now, our agents are not freelance agents. They are not incentivized by, deal closing commissions. Our agents work full time and exclusively for Ohmyhome, and our incentives model is very much built upon and around the customer satisfaction. So generally, what we're looking for is not just a deal closure, but a satisfied and happy customers. And that is why today we have over 8,000 five-star reviews, which makes Ohmyhome the most popular and most highly rated, platform, transaction platform in the region. Now, if you wonder, well, why would we, provide a free platform, on the free portion that I first mentioned earlier, why would we provide a free platform for customers to use? Well, it is really very much part of our purpose and mission as a company, which is to be the most trusted and comprehensive property solution for everyone. Now, everyone, Rick, would include people who can afford services as well as people who cannot afford services. And therefore, we find that building a platform, through technology, through smartphone penetration access across the world, this would be the easiest form of guidance and transparency for all customers.
So you're saying that someone that wants to sell their home, they can list it on your platform and do the transaction through your whole platform.
That's right.
With no brokers involved at all.
That's right. So you're allowed to do that in the countries that we operate in. There is no legal requirement that an agent must be involved in the process.
Well, you can do that in the United States as well. The problem is that it can be very confusing for a person that's not in the real estate industry, and you really don't understand what your obligations will be in that transactions. Where you're saying that you would have someone that will support the transaction from Ohmyhome for someone
Well,
that's
if you
listening.
are, yeah, if you're trying to sell it by yourself, Rick, before Ohmyhome started in 2016, it would be the same situation. As a first-time home seller or second-time home seller, you probably would have to read through 40 websites or blog articles to figure out how to sell your property by yourself. So we were the first company that came out with the guides, the step-by-step guides on how you can sell your property by yourself. What are the things to look out for? So in fact, we shared our guide with the Singapore government housing department. And ever since then, they have their own guides now after we came up with the first version. So we understand that property transaction is extremely important to homeowners. In fact, to most individuals, the home is the most expensive asset in their lifetime. because we understand that, that is why we build an entire business around making sure that this information is available to everybody, not just the person who has a very good agent by their side, which is a very fortunate, situation. I mean, being in the business after serving 14,000 transactions, I can confidently share with you that a lot of people didn't have a very good experience in transacting their properties with their agents. So we have, quite successfully solved the problems for most of our customers. And we look forward to being able to grow our business, across the world.
So even though they can do it on their own, a buyer can do it on their own, they're better off still using a broker of some kind, because it is a complicated process and it is a very expensive item to be doing that transaction. So you don't want any real mistakes going on during that process. A broker will eliminate a lot of that aggravation.
You're absolutely right. So our customers who are not not selling it by themselves, instead are engaging our brokers. These are customers who are highly educated. They're able to transact by themselves if they really wanted to. But usually what we're seeing, Rick, is it's not just about the complications or the uncertainties. It's actually that they're just busy. Most people are just busy with their work, they're busy with their lives. And for something that important and pricey, they prefer to have a professional handle it for them. So our agents, service is actually one of our largest revenue driver. So definitely is an important part of the business. But what's more important is making sure that when someone engages an Ohmyhome agent, this is not just another agent, trying to, make a deal. This is an agent who is highly knowledgeable, who's highly specialized in the area that he's working in. So we do that by, making sure that our technology is able to provide all of that information to both the homeowners and our agent. So we know everything about your property. We probably know more about your property, if you're in our territories. We know more about your property than you would know about, yourself. And that's exactly what we're building. And in fact, this very moment, we're building our own digital property agent, so that in future, if you have any questions about your property, any questions at all, you could ask our digital agent known as Homer AI. You can ask Homer, what's my property valuation? You can ask Homer, what are the transactions around my neighborhood? Is this a good time to sell? And you'll be able to get all of these answers very quickly and very accurately.
So you're going to become the Siri of real estate?
Yes, we're going to be the Siri of real estate, and better than that.
Okay.
We're going to be your best friend in real estate.
That's a great concept, because, like I said, it's such a confusing transaction for the average Joe. Obviously, if you're doing it quite a bit, you'll get to learn what the ins and outs of it. But someone that doesn't do it very often, and how many times does someone sell their home?
Not
maybe,
that many times,
yeah, maybe twice in their lifetime. Some people might only do it once in their lifetime. So, I mean, it's not an easy. It's a new process for an individual. It's not something they do quite frequently, where a broker will do it all the time. So now you also handle rental and leasing.
That's right.
Now do you have a listing of rental properties? Does Ohmyhome almost have like a multi, what do they call that? A
I
multiple
know, the
listing?
MLS,
Yeah,
yes.
like an MLS. Do you have that?
Ohmyhome, our listings are from landlords, so we serve homeowners. So it could be a property owner who wants to sell, a property owner who wants to rent. But if you're looking from a perspective of a tenant, we will be sourcing the entire market of listings for you, regardless of whether the listing is within the Ohmyhome ecosystem or outside of it. The most important thing that we do using our technology is to ensure that based on your preferences, your budget, the number of bedrooms, the location, and so forth, we ensure that we find, as close to the perfect match, if not the perfect match for you. So What we're uncovering over here, with our technology, what we're leading in the market over here is that we want to bring the utmost convenience to consumers. So yes, Rick, if you spend enough time, you can sell, you can buy, you can rent, you can do everything by yourself. You can be the professional yourself. But time is not what everyone has. So what we do with our technology is to ensure that we save your time. And when we save your time, we try to save your money too. So, when most people using Oh My Home, they'll find themselves enjoying about half the amount they would usually have to pay in the market. So our prices are very affordable or very reasonable for the services we're offering. If you're a tenant, you can be sure that we will be offering you all of the listings in the market, not subjected to how much we make. So what happens in the market, at least in the markets I'm highly familiar with, is that some agents, they may not bring you as a tenant to all of the listings available because some listings are paying them more, some listings are not paying them much at all. So naturally, to earn a living, they would take you to the listings that pay them more. So we don't do that at Oh My Home. Our technology is not, managed by human manually, so there is no effort on the human front, to select if I want to bring Rick to, a more profitable property. We want to ensure that, if you're a tenant, you find the best home for yourself. So this is why our technology has consistently been able to achieve phenomenal results. For our customers who are selling with us, we're usually able to sell 50% of our properties within 7 days. This is a huge increase in efficiency from a market in Singapore that's usually selling above 100 days. We're at 7 days. Um, Apart from speed, the next important thing is the price for a home seller. We're also able to achieve 60% of the time above market prices for our home sellers. So technology is not just about, hey, it's convenient, it's in your hands, it's on your phone, it's cool. It is eventually about providing you with better results, than before.
Now, you mentioned, I think at the beginning of the show, about brokers in Oh My Home have ratings, 5-star ratings. So when
The
you go,
company, the company has 8,000 five-star ratings. So
oh,
some
okay.
are for the agents, some are for the renovation department, some for the tech team.
So now, when you go to Oh My Home to find an agent, are the agents listed on how they're rated, how good they are?
No, because you think about agents like Uber drivers, right? All of the work is done by the platform. So the driver or the agent shows up at the point in time where, a human, a licensed professional is required. But other than that, the platform is the one that does all of the magic in terms of matching, in terms of finding you the listings. So usually customers would be raving about the agent and the efficiency and all of that, but very much so is because of the technology that Oh My Home has built. So if you are a customer of Oh My Home, it doesn't quite matter if agent A or broker B is serving you. You should expect just the same exceptional results from anyone serving you in this company.
And so everyone understands these are not independent brokers. These are employees of Oh My Home, correct?
That's right. So that's what we are. But when you say if everyone understands, I'm not sure if everyone understands that. So we have to keep explaining it to them.
Well, that's what we're here for. We're trying to explain it to everyone. So no, yeah, well, that's important to know because if it when they're independent, each one of those independent brokers have their own business model, where anyone that's
Absolutely right.
working under the Oh My Home would have the Oh My Home model,
That's
and
right.
everyone would be doing it the same way. Their process would
Yes.
all be the same. Okay,
Yes.
well, that's great. So let's move on to one of the reasons why you're really on this show is because you're really looking for investors to come into that Oh My Home uh, philosophy to invest into it, or even invest into the Singapore or the markets that you're in, correct?
We'll be happy to have Americans investing into Singapore, Malaysia, and the Philippines. Um, it could also be overseas Filipino workers who are, who has a huge population in America to investing back home into the Philippines, which is what they often do. So for Singapore, what many Americans don't know is that there is a huge tax advantage for them, which is that if you are a foreigner, so say you're a Malaysian or if you're from Canada, if you buy a property in Singapore, $1 million property, you'll have to pay 60% in additional tax. So that's 600,000 cash on top of the $1 million property price tag. So this is for all foreigners except for 5 countries, and one of them is America. So Rick, as an American, when you buy a property in Singapore, you will be accorded the same tax benefits as a local Singaporean, even better than a Singapore permanent resident. So this is something that, we're here to share about because Americans, when you're looking into investing outside of America, one thing that is important to know is where are you having special privileges? So Singapore is one country that offers very little privileges in terms of real estate purchases because they know their properties are very valuable. The government knows that the property here, the land is scarce. Everyone wants to put their money in Singapore because it has been a very safe country for wealth preservation and wealth growth. So over the last few weeks, we had the F1, night race happening in Singapore, and thousands of events was happening here, and all of the funds, all of the GPs, the LPs were all in town. And this is a country that attracts so much wealth and so many family offices. Someone was just reminding me today that about how many thousands of family offices are now located in Singapore. And this is no surprise. Even Facebook co-founder Eduardo, um, Google's co-founder James Dyson, and so many other people have relocated, migrated into Singapore. It is a wonderful country to live in. It is a great place to raise families. So this is an amazing place whether you're looking to invest, to relocate yourself for your residential property, or to relocate your offices. Most of the largest companies in the States are also having their headquarters in Singapore. So, we're really, I'm really here, as an ambassador of Singapore to share, just to share more about, how a wonderful place Singapore is, in terms of real estate investments. But if we have listeners today or viewers who are looking at Malaysia or the Philippines, we're very happy to talk about that as well because I think Philippines have such a huge room for growth with their rising urbanization, their huge middle class, their large and young population. So these are the few markets that we're very, very active in. And if anyone is looking to invest, definitely would love to hear from you. And we'll also be visiting LA and New York quite frequently. So if there's a need to present one-on-one, our team will be there for you.
Well, I don't know. I've never been to Singapore or Malaysia or the Philippines. The thing I do know is that I've heard a lot about Singapore being a very, very safe country, very, very clean, and having excellent food. And as far as a heavy set guy like myself, the food is the number one, and then everything else will follow. But that's true, isn't it? The very clean and very safe.
Very true. It's they call it the Garden City. So lots of trees, very beautiful. We have different types of trees because it's a tropical climate. So when I'm in LA, I think the trees there are super gorgeous as well. I love the landscaping there. So obviously there are small countries in Singapore that has a very beautiful landscape and greenery. But this is something that most people arriving into Singapore, getting out of the airport, would generally be really impressed by, like, wow, this is really very green, love the landscape done throughout the city. If you arrive at Singapore Changi Airport, one of the terminals is known as the Jewel. Jewel has this amazing huge fountain built within the airport. You think like you'll be in like some futuristic world or Jurassic Park or some sorts of that. Extremely gorgeous. So Singapore has been rated the #1 airport in the world quite consistently across the world. It's super efficient. It's very new, very clean. It's a huge shopping paradise, you know. So if you were a tourist and you arrive in Singapore, you could spend a day just at the airport without leaving the airport. So it's a fantastic place to even transit at. Um, so that's the part about the green, you know, the beauty, the cleanliness. Definitely Singapore is very clean. I think the government has done such a good job, you know, just maintaining the city. We're very considerate citizens as well. We don't litter. And also in terms of housing, the social housing is, you know, quite the gold standard of the world in terms of our government housing. So 80% of Singaporeans live in government housing. So by and large, it would be rare, you know, for anyone to find a homeless individual in Singapore. And finally, on your third point, the food, I'm also someone very excited about food. So Singapore has definitely a great range of food. You're talking about you can get a plate of amazing fried noodles for $3 US.
I might
It's
start thinking of moving there.
You need to move here. The food is amazing. Okay, granted, the place is probably a place where you get a $3 fried noodle. It's not going to be air conditioned. You're not going to have napkins and stuff, you know, or a white tablecloth. But it's just high quality, good tasting food at just $3. And then you also have the Michelin star restaurants at $300. So this city has so much to offer in food and drinks and party and everything. Well, Rick, you just have to come here to experience it yourself.
I'm putting it on my list right now as we speak. Now, Malaysia, I heard is very similar, but it the it's a middle income type of country where you don't have a lot of expensive homes. You don't have it's a more affordable country to live in.
Yes, for sure. I mean, the GDP per capita between Malaysia and Singapore is very different. So definitely, you know, Malaysia is much more affordable. I'm actually born Malaysian, so you know, Malaysia has a very special place in my heart. It is a very beautiful country, rich in natural resources. So when you visit Malaysia, you'll find it very rich in culture, very rich in just nature, very rich in, you know, beautiful people, kind people. I love the people of Malaysia because they're very warm, they're very friendly, and they're willing to care for you, a stranger, like a family. So when I visit my family, you know, who are still based in Malaysia, I think this feeling that I have, this warmth that I have, you know, is always existing when I visit Malaysia. So I think the people forms a very important part of this country. But Malaysia as a whole, in terms of, you know, its country, its resources, its attraction as a nation, it's I believe it is the #1 Muslim tourism country as well. So you go to the main city, which is known as Kuala Lumpur, huge, beautiful skyscrapers. You have the Twin Towers by Petronas, beautiful city, great food. So a lot of the great food that we talked about, you know, that in were the origins of it came from Malaysia, because Singapore and Malaysia used to be one country many years ago, but you know they split into their own countries over the years, and Singapore had to become independent. So that was how the country started forming its own identity. But a lot of the food that you know in Malaysia is huge variety. So you have amazing Muslim food, Indian food, Chinese cuisine. So there's so much to love about Malaysia. And then when you come to Philippines, Philippines is massive in terms of population. 118 million is really a big population, especially when you look at the age. In terms of the GDP per capita, they're still slightly lower than Malaysia, but they're catching up. So I think in about the 2 to 3 years time, they would be on par with Malaysia. So a lot of room for growth. This is why I'm also very positive about the real estate price growth in the Philippines.
So now you're looking for investors to invest in these three countries. When are you're also planning on moving your platform to the United States or offering your platform to the United States at some point?
What I mean, why not? Why not? I think
Oh
what's
no,
key for
of course, why not?
Yeah, why not? I mean, we're a small company today, but we have, huge global ambitions. So we're not limited by, we're in Southeast Asia and we're going to stay here forever. We want to be global. And in being global, we also have to be wise in the way we select our next countries. And it's not specifically which country per se, it's about how do we enter the market? Do we have a strong partner there? Is it a large brokerage that's already in existence in the market, or is it a property management company, or is it a company that is very rich in data? So these are the considerations that I have, as the CEO of the company about when we select a country, we want to ensure that when we go in there, we have the most exponential accelerated reach into the market. So we love to be in United States. We like to be in America. That's why I'm in New York and LA almost every quarter. Often to speak with partners, often to speak with people from different countries who's interested in bringing Ohmyhome into their country. So ever since the listing in March, it's been just such a magical time for us because we have so many inbound interests, of countries and companies who want to bring Ohmyhome into their countries, into their territories. So these are conversations that I've been just having a great time, with. America is special to me. I went to school in University of Michigan, had such a wonderful time in terms of education and friendships. I then worked in Chicago, as a derivatives trader, and I worked a bit on the floor of the Chicago Board of Trade, and then I worked on the desk as an electronic trader. So I love all of that. Being back in America, it's like going back, down in memory lane. It's somewhere that's, very familiar for me.
Well, in New England here, you sent to University of Michigan. You know the relationship with University of Michigan in New England?
No?
Do you ever hear of Tom Brady?
Yes?
Well, he went to the University of Michigan.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I
So,
only know Michael Phelps. He was in school when I was in school, so that was really cool, to know that, someone so outstanding is, attending the same school at the very same time.
so one of the best football players in the country also went to University of Michigan.
Now I know.
Yeah. Well, see, I taught you something today.
Thank
You
you.
taught
I
me
know, and
something.
a very interesting thing.
Yeah. So, we have a lot of investors that listen to this show, real estate investors. So this is great information for them because there's two reasons. They're always looking for different areas of investment, and maybe those countries might be an option for them. They're also looking they're looking for also once they're looking for investors are looking for investing in companies that would be wanting to come to this country to expand their business. So you could find there could be someone out there listening that would want to invest in Ohmyhome as well as in Singapore and Malaysia or Philippines. So we could hit both.
We have we're now able to attract so many different investors because it's not just investors in properties, as you mentioned, but also investors in our company, but also investors who are buying our stock in the open market. So it's just such an interesting time for Ohmyhome where every time we do something, especially as the CEO and founder and co-founder, I founded the company with my sister, so that's another interesting part of the story. um, when we think about the growth of the company, when we think about every step that we take, every move that we make in terms of strategic growth, accelerating our expansion in market share, in acquisitions, in providing more features to becoming a property super app. Now we have a chance to always share about it. And, it's not just us working away in the office, but today, with yourself, Rick, and the opportunity to be on your show, we get to talk about it. So, we really appreciate that.
Well, I do appreciate you coming on the show, Rhonda. It's very interesting. I love the way you describe the countries that you're working in. I even love the concept you came up with. It is a very interesting concept because it is the 21st century, and we should be changing how we sell our transactions for real estate. And you're working on that process for us. Actually, you've come up with a process that's a little easier. So, it's great to see things like that changing the industry somewhat. So I'm hoping that you'll get more people interested, and that will expand throughout the world. Next year, this time, you'll probably be a world renowned. You'll be in South America, the United States, all of Europe, and that's probably your dream, correct?
I think, to be able to serve people from, all parts of the world, is definitely a dream for us. But I think more importantly is also the philosophy behind it, which is, we firmly believe that, a safe home is a good foundation it's a foundation of a good life. And we have in our own experiences, having to move homes many times, growing up, we understand the dreams, the aspirations, and also the disappointments that come with home moving, the home transaction process. Sellers are hoping to sell their home a lot of times to get some cash. And when a professional who's supposed to be professional at their job does not do that job well, we know the impact on the family is huge. So this beyond just being a business, able to achieve our dream of serving everyone, is really, the bigger purpose, the bigger meaning behind the dream, which is that we want to make lives better. We want to make the world a better place. And we do that starting from the most important physical asset, which is our homes. And that's the day that I think would be a very happy day for, my co-founder and myself.
Well, and your co-founder, so people understand who your co-founder is, is your sister.
My sister. So I come from a
Grace.
family of three girls. So the eldest is Roseanne, and then
And
followed by
so do I.
Race.
I have three
Three
sisters.
girls.
I have three sisters. I'm not one of the girls. I have three sisters.
Yeah. So for us, same. But it's just in total the three of us. This second sister. So Race and myself started Ohmyhome, and it's just been a journey for 7 years now. Before Ohmyhome, we actually started an investor real estate portfolio management company. So we did pretty well there. But Race was really the one who said, Rhonda, we need to bring our services, our work ethics to the mass market. We cannot just be serving the ultra high net worth, because they have a lot of people who are like us, who are willing to serve them and willing to do a good job, because there's a lot of money there. But she's like, but your common folks, people who are buying the homes for the first time, people who are selling for the first or second time, people going through happy moments like a wedding, like increasing their family size. And then there's on the other spectrum, people going through the worst times in their lives. They're having a divorce, someone passed away. And Ray said, we need to use technology to transform ourselves and be there for them, because we cannot be there in person for every single one, but our technology can be there for them. So when Ray shared that, and being a very, charitable person, I was thinking, this is the perfect company for me. This is the perfect business idea for me, because it can basically fulfill the purpose and the meaning that I really want to find, while also using the skill sets that I have, both in investment and in real estate. So it was just the perfect combination of things that happened, that we started this company. So Race and I have moved homes over 20 times growing up, because we came from very humble beginnings, and as a family we had to work very hard through our lives to finally get to University of Michigan. So it's very costly for where I come from to go to school there. So we've come a long way, and I think being able to share this story, being able to share this solution to others is something that is beyond just growing a company. It's really, providing something that's meaningful to us. Grace and I always talk about a double bottom line. So we always have this concept that the larger the company grows, the better the world should be. And we work very hard to make that happen. I work Singapore. Grace and I, we both work Singapore and American hours most days and nights. So but we're not saying this to complain about it. I do that with big smiles to be here on the show. So it's just I think when you find something very meaningful in your life, and that's what Grace and I have found, working on it just becomes part of our day-to-day growth towards something that is a passion of ours, but I don't want to go as far as to say that we wake up running with joy into the office, because we know we're there to solve problems, and that's what we take pride in.
Rhonda, it's been very nice talking with you, and I feel after talking with you, I get this like warm, happy feeling, which you sort of portray, you not portray, but you
Is that the Malaysian feeling that I told you
yeah,
about?
you're sort of it's sort of coming through the screen. It's coming through your voice, and and maybe it's the orange colors. I don't know, but I get that. It's very nice talking with you.
Oh, thank
Uh,
you.
the
Thank you.
same, with the company has a great model. It's also all very inspiring, and I hope that even though we probably don't have a lot of young listeners, but I hope there's some young listeners that will listen to this show and listen to what you say and how you say it, and maybe they'll have some inspiration to start doing something on their own, because you're very inspirational. Uh,
Oh, thank you, Rick.
and I do, I do feel like that would be a great model for young people today, because young people today sort of can't find their direction very easily. And I think that if they hear you speak, that will help quite a bit. But that's not why we're on the show. I just had to
I
put
hope
that
so,
in.
Rick. Thank you. You're very kind. I appreciate it.
Now, if someone wanted to go on the Nasdaq and find, what are you listed under?
Our Nasdaq ticker is OMH.
OMH. Okay. So that will get you to the Ohmyhome listing on Nasdaq, OMH. And if you want to go to your website is ohmyhome.com. I should say www, which no one uses anymore, but
www.ohmyhome.com.
www.ohmyhome.com. I'm an old timer, so if you don't have I'm kind of lost. Where do I go from this point? So, but it's www.ohmyhome.com, and we're talking with Rhonda Wong, and she's with Ohmyhome, and her office is in Singapore. You have two offices, right? Singapore and
Malaysia, and soon the Philippines.
soon the Philippines. Thank you, Rhonda. Great talking with you, and I wish you lots of success in the future, and as well as Ohmyhome, and I hope everything goes to the plan, because you're doing an excellent job, and I hope we can talk again next year, see how you progressed.
Thank you so much, Rick. It's wonderful to be here. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. I'm Rick Kaplan from the New England Real Estate Journal, and you're listening to the NYREJ podcast. Until next time.